I'm Scott Simmy, and on today's edition of our Sound Byte micro podcast, I'm joined by Susanne Cork, Business Development Director, Smart Farm and Advanced Robotics with Invest Ottawa at Area X.O. Welcome, Susanne.
Thank you, Scott. Excited to be here. Happy to chat with you today.
Great. So let's start with Area X.O. Now, I've been there many times, but how would you describe it to someone who's never heard of it?
It's Canada's all-weather R&D complex for next generation mobility, autonomy, robotics, and connected systems. It's a place where innovators from the earliest stages of startup all the way up to global tech firms would come to test, design, develop, and commercialize their technologies. And really what makes us unique is that we really integrate a private, a public, and a defense-grade test environment. So we have 3 sites that all come together to comprise Area X.O into one ecosystem. And we support the testing and the development of autonomous vehicles, drones, ground robotics, all manner of advanced communication networks, resources and infrastructure and capabilities that all come together to support that type of innovation.
And what is the relationship between Invest Ottawa and Area X.O?
Area X.O is wholly owned and operated by Invest Ottawa. And I think that the reason for that, of course, Invest Ottawa is the nation capital's economic development agency. And because so much of the economic development in our region centers around knowledge-based industries and technologies, it was really apparent after a period of time working with the startups and the innovators that what was missing was a place to actually execute on some of the testing and, to have infrastructure and engineering and a safety framework that allowed for the testing of these novel technologies in a secure and private space. And so that's when Invest Ottawa came together with a number of multinational partners and small business partners and innovators from government and academia, and we created Area X.O.
Now, you've got quite a title. Tell me a bit more about what you do.
So my role in the business development space is really focused on, creating an ecosystem and partnerships and bringing together all of our resources to focus on supporting innovators throughout the whole design, development, test, and commercialization process. The end goal, of course, being to support the commercialization and adoption of these technologies, because if they're not in use, then, really the world's not benefiting from them. So my role is really to cover that entire spectrum. So I work on creating the supporting partnerships that allow the innovators to do their work, whether that be bringing academia, regulatory authorities, other government partners to bear, resources from multinationals, as well as other SMEs that could potentially be helpful, all in this ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship. So my role is really as a catalyst and as a Sherpa, if you will, to bring all of that together and support these companies.
You touched a moment ago on the fact that Area X.O has, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of facilities there. It has, for example, a dedicated road network, including traffic lights and a railroad crossing for testing autonomous vehicles. Tell us about that.
Our private test track, which is located behind the private and secure gates on the Green Belt site, which is the 2,000-acre site that's located right here in the heart of Ottawa, has a test track of about 16 kilometers of roadways that are organized into 4 distinct test zones, one being an urban test zone. And as you mentioned, Scott, this one is completely kitted out with a 4-way intersection and a 3-way intersection, and the various technologies that you would find in an urban environment. We also have a suburban zone that is a little bit more sort of indicative of what you'd find in the suburbs. So mostly like stop signs and road markings and crosswalks and that sort of thing. And then we have another area that's set up as an at-grade rail crossing. City of Ottawa has 68 at-grade rail crossings. And of course, those are always a challenging environment for a vehicle and a pedestrian to be in. So we do a lot of work on the at-grade rail crossing area. There's also a school zone. And then we have our high-speed loop. There's also 9 kilometers of roadways in our public test track, which is located out in the Canada North Business Park.
Now, you touched on the fact that one of the goals here is to help companies reach a stage where they can commercialize their products. What does that process look like?
So we really are, to your point, focusing strongly on commercialization and adoption, which requires that the companies fully test and have their technologies at what we would call a technology readiness level of 9, which means that they've been fully designed and developed, and then they would move into more formalized testing depending on what the technology happens to be. So we have relationships with certification bodies like TÜV-SÜD, and we have different types of infrastructure here at the site that follows different NIST standards and ISO and Euro NCAP standards and things like that. So we can do testing to ensure that the technologies that are being designed and developed will meet all of the various regulatory requirements and certification requirements to be allowed to be commercialized and sold in a public setting. And we can support that across a number of different markets as well. Not all of our innovators are designing for the Canadian or North American market. Some of them have technologies that might be destined overseas and elsewhere. And so we really lean on our certification partners that have knowledge of those environments to ensure that the technologies can be commercialized in whatever market the client would like to go into.
I also seem to recall that you have some of your own engineers on site, as well as some very powerful simulation tools that can be put to use. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, for sure. We have a group of engineers. We have 2 sort of lead technology engineers, one focused more on the defense side of things, UAS, counter-UAS technologies, that being, drones and ground robotics. And then we have another engineer that's focused on connected and autonomous systems, more vehicle focused and complex networks and things like that. And then working for them are other engineers that support. And the reason that we have that kind of engineering talent on site is we have a lot of sophisticated capabilities like our autonomous vehicle and some of the other infrastructure, our sensor tools and things like that. And so when clients come to the site, they often need help integrating into that environment. And so our engineers will support them with that type of thing. The simulation capabilities really kick in either for those clients that can't make it to the site. We have a full digital twin of the site, and so we can help them actually test virtually on our track. Or when they are here on the track, we can simulate different types of traffic conditions and things like that as well. So you might have a lone car out on the test track driving around, but the vehicle believes that it's sitting in traffic or has oncoming vehicles because the simulation has been able to download that to the vehicle.
Now, when InDro Robotics moved in many years ago, we were one of the anchor tenants, and it's now a much busier place. Tell us about Area X.O's growth and why it's been so successful.
Well, I mean, we're delighted to still have InDro as one of our key clients, and we'd like to believe that InDro has grown with us, with the evolution strongly into the ground robotics and still, of course, being sort of the lead partner on all things in the sky. But over time, we've evolved from a focus on connected and autonomous vehicles to really embracing some of the other technologies that are becoming extremely important. All things defense and public safety. And that, of course, brings in a whole different set of technologies and different partners and clients. And the ecosystem has evolved quite significantly. And we have a lot of participation from different government regulatory bodies and other multinationals that are really making it interesting for innovators to focus on these new areas and these new domains. So we are busting at the seams at this point in time. We have a long list of companies that would would like to come and work at Area X.O. And we're really having to schedule things in these days to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to come and use the site and fully benefit from the capabilities that are here.
Susanne Cork of Invest Ottawa and Area X.O, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today.